Hi, how are you doing today? This is Belinda from Belinda's Book Nook, and today I want to talk to you guys about what I plan to read or what I'm thinking about reading for the month of April. March, is March Mystery Madness and Women's History, and it just seems like every month I've been kind of trying to follow along with different read-alongs and things like that. But I wanted to try to do, not to do that too much this year, because I want to ultimately, like we all continue to say, is to read the books on my shelves. My biggest fear is this, right? If you look back at pictures of yourself in high school or whatever, you're like, oh my God, why was I wearing that? And you can even dial it in and remember the emotion, like, oh my God, I love that. I couldn't wait to wear that out to the school dance or whatever, And now you're like, oh my God, I was in public. There's pictures. So my biggest fear with books is not that others will, shame me, but that I will have evolved or changed my taste so much so that those books are no longer interesting to me. And so here I've invested money in these books and I don't, get a pleasurable experience with them. I can't read them. I DNF them. It does so many things. The other reason, obviously, we want to read the books on our bookshelf is so that we can't get more books if we have no room. So I am doing a lot of spring cleaning in my office, in my house, and everywhere, And so the bookshelves are not going to be spared this year. So I really want to, continue to read things that I have. That said, there is a book in here that is new. Two of them actually are newer books, but let's not shame me. The point is that when I do tend to do a lot of these different read-alongs, I end up, buying more books. And so I don't want to do that. So that is my spiel that I'm starting out with for today. The other funny thing I have to share before I get started is my office in our home is on our second floor, and I have a lot of windows. And so I'm looking out this morning out the window, and I see a groundhog across the street in my neighbor's yard, and I'm like, oh. And if you know anything about me and my history with groundhogs, they're really cute. They're kind of beaver-like looking, right? No. They're cute when they're on a picture or they're somewhere else, but not in my yard. I have flowers and vegetables, and I hate what they've done to my garden. So we've had years of the battle of the groundhogs, and then there's other years that they're not. And last year was rabbits. We had lots of bunnies. So I see it across the street, and I tell my husband, oh my God. So I'm watching it, like this pudgy thing, running. It's kind of going along the house, and it gets to the driveway, and it goes over to I like how I did the motion, like I look like it, right? And then it gets to the next door neighbor's yard, and I'm watching it because what we do in the pandemic when you're working at home and you got time, peek out the window. So he goes to the neighbor, and I'm like, oh my God, if he goes to the one next to that, they have the biggest dog, he's going to be eaten alive. So either he smelled or sensed that wasn't the right move. He crossed the street. And so I said to my husband, he's coming to our yard. And to come to our yard, we have lots of stairs to get up. And he's like, no, he's not. He's gonna go down and keep going down the street. I'm like, I bet you. And sure enough, he came up the front steps like he was the man and ran to our side yard. So we're both outside, shooing him, go. Don't even think of putting this on your map this summer. Just don't. Tell your people, don't come. So that was this morning, and I'm laughing because it's kind of a dreary day. That's like, what are you doing outside? Okay. Crazy. Okay, so what do I want to read next month, right? All the excitement. Hold 1 second. I have really, there's people I watch all the time on BookTube, but I really and I think I've said this before, I really enjoy watching Comfy Cozy PETA. And I there's moments like Dee Dee's done it for me. There's just been moments when they'll say something about a book or their excitement pulls me in, and I want to do it. I want to read that book or have that experience. And a video I watched a while back when she was talking about her classics, and she continued, it's not just one, but she does several. It just really changed my view and my position. I kind of just had written off the classics and was like, no, I don't need to. It's particularly just American classics where it was mostly Eurocentric, white classics, white authors. I was kind of just turned off. You know, when you don't see yourself reflected in material, sometimes it's very, as you get older, it gets tiresome, you know? And so, and I also, like I had said before, I felt like, well, why is it that there are no people of color, that their books aren't classics? Well, there are some. We do know now that there are some. Not as many, but there are some. So when I heard her talking about it, it just really opened me up. And it also opened me up to the fact that there are classics that are in other countries. And I had actually read some of them, and, you know, in my past when I was in college, but I just really never thought about it that way. So I'm trying to kind of broaden my reading sphere to include classics, both national and international, that speak to me, okay? So I picked this one. I know, I cut myself. Can you see this lovely? It's driving me nutty. It's not healing right in my hand, so I'm so paranoid about my hand in this little spot, but side note. Okay, so the first book that I'm planning on reading, I'm trying to get, like I said, the classics in, is going to be by Jean Toomer, and it's Cane. And look at the cool cover. This is a little bit more modern version. It's really cute. And this was originally published in 1923. And I think it has Henry Louis Gates and who's the other professor? Randolph P. Bird. Both provide biographical information on Harlem Renaissance, and as well as information on Jean Toomer. Jean Toomer also, let's see, was born in Washington in 1894 and died in 1967. It says he was a teacher in rural Georgia where his experience led him to write Cane. And I'm going to read because I'm not, you know, again, I don't really know much about this book. Jean Toomer's Cane is an innovative literature work, part drama, part poetry, part fiction, powerfully evoking Black life in the South, rich in imagery. Toomer's impressionistic, sometimes surrealistic sketches of Southern rural and urban life are permeated by visions of smoke, sugarcane, dusk, and fire. The Northern world is pictured as a harsher reality of asphalt and streets. This iconic work of American literature is published with a new afterword by Randolph P. Bird, like I said, and Henry Louis Gates. I just think, first of all, the fact that it's kind of like it says a mixture of poetry and fiction and drama, I want to see what that means. What does that spell out in here? And so I'm going to actually, you know, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really cool experience. So this will be my classic that I will try to conquer in April. If you read it, I mean, probably a lot of people have. I just haven't, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that is one of my books that I want to read. Another one I've owned for many years. So this will check off like book that's been on my shelf for too many years, and I need to get to it. I've read several books by this author, but I have not read her original debut novel. And this is Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And this one was her debut, and I'll read the back because I don't remember this one. This 15-year-old Kambili's world is circumscribed by the high walls and frangipani trees of her family compound, and by her wealthy Catholic father, who, while generous and politically active in the community, is repressive and fanatically religious at home. When Nigeria begins to fall apart under a military coup, Kambili's father sends her and her brother away to stay with an aunt, a university professor whose house is noisy and full of laughter. There, Kambali and her brother discover life and love beyond the confines of their father's authority. The visit will in time give rise to devotion and defiance that reveal themselves in profound and unexpected ways. This is a book about the promise of freedom, about the blurred lines between childhood and adulthood, between love and hatred, between the old gods and the new. Sounds really good, because I think, you know, for the kids to having those totally different experience of a father who's really, really sounds like he's very effective in helping others, but when he's at home, you know, people would probably not recognize the same person when he's at home. Maybe well-meaning, but it just comes off very stern and strict. So we'll see. I'm excited about reading it. Finally, a lot of people have read this. I know probably everybody has, but I'm getting there. Everybody, don't shame me. This is another one I want to read. It's on my bookshelf, so it's so great. There's nothing to do. Now, this one I've had on my bookshelf since 2019. I think it came out in 2018. Or did it come out in 2019? Hold on. This one came out in... Yeah, I love when I look and I can't see that number right away. Yeah, 2018, and I got it in 2019. I just really wanted to read this book. I love learning about other cultures, other places, and feeling other experiences. So this one, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how to pronounce the author's name except for Jennifer, which is her first name. Easy. Jennifer Zainab Jukadar, and it's The Map of Salt and Stars, which is absolutely gorgeous cover. This has been on my shelf for now 2 years, and so it's time to read it. And so this one, I have to read it again. Oh, and look, excuse me, come on. I love maps. I love maps in books. Oh, and the receipt. The receipt. Let's see what day I bought this book. I bought it at Barnes & Noble on May 20th, 2019. So I'm finally getting ready. When I bought this, did I think it was going to take me so long to read it? No. Almost 2 years, right? So, well, I have other ones that are more shameful that I've had longer, so it's okay. This one is about, it says in the summer of 2011, just after Noor loses her father to cancer, her mother moves Noor and her sisters from New York City back to Syria to be closer to their family. In order to keep her father's spirit alive as she adjusts to her new home, Noor tells herself their favorite story, the tale of Rawiya, a 12th century girl who disguises herself as a boy in order to apprentice herself to a famous map maker. But the Syria Noor's parents knew is changing, and it isn't long before the war reaches their quiet Homs neighborhood. When a stray shell destroys Noor's house, almost takes her life, she and her family are forced to choose, stay and risk more violence or flee across 7 countries of the Middle East and North Africa in search of safety along the very route Rawiya and her mapmaker took 800 years before in their quest to chart the world. And it goes on and on and on. But that just sounds kind of neat, huh? And look at it, it has the deckled edges, which I love. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. I'm happy to say 2 years later, I still want to read this. But like I was saying to you, I have books that are much older, very different genres, varying genres. And I'm so fearful that I'm going to get to them and be like, no. And then I have to realize that I paid for this book and I never read it. So I am excited to read this one. Have you read it? Did you like it? Don't spoil it for me, but I'm looking forward to that one. This last one came out this month. And it's a brand new release, and it's by Andrea Lee, and it is called Red Island House. And are you ready for this cover? It's so pretty. Look at that. Look at the cover. Just buying on cover alone, but I am not. I'll tell you, the story sounds really good, so I'm very excited. This one is about if I remember, this one is this Black American professor. She marries an Italian businessman, and they are pretty wealthy, and they end up moving to Madagascar. And the story kind of, explores their marriage in another location. How I believe it explores, the being an outsider when you move somewhere, but then do you slowly become an insider? I think they try to, initially she tries to stay out of some of the certain characteristics that are a little foreign to her, and slowly gets pulled in, and they start to have children, and it just, it sounds like it's going to be a good story with a lot of stuff to discuss, a good book club one too. I was really excited when I had heard about this in the summer and I pre-ordered it. I was like, yeah, I gotta get it. And then what? Hey, the cover's so pretty. I will be taking this off while I read it. But this one I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's just so, so lovely looking. And I can't say that I have read anything that was set in Madagascar. And Madagascar to me is one of those places that's kind of magical and mysterious to me. It just is. It's off, you know, it's an island off the tip of Africa. It's just a place, you know, like a National Geographic. The only time I've ever seen it is something that they might show as special with animals or something that's it. So I'm really excited to be able to see. Now this particular author, I think she it says she's born in Philadelphia and she got her bachelor's and master's from Harvard, and then she now lives in Italy. Interesting. I wonder if she's met a man from Italy and is married to a man in Italy. Like the story. I don't know why she chose Madagascar. I'm definitely going to read it, and I'll actually look online and see if I see anything. I've been doing that a lot, you know, as I always like to look up videos of the author talking about their book, but I try to wait to after I've read the book, and also to see why, if they've answered any questions about the book. So those are the 4 books. Listen, if I get these 4, that's great. If I get 2, that's wonderful. I'm okay with whatever happens. I'm going to keep it open. This is going to be the beginning of like garden cleanup prep. And like I told you, we're going to be working on, it's going to be a big project to redo our vegetable beds, move, rebuild, install a drip system, and install a patio seating area. Yeah. So the year that we had our house painted was like nightmarish, the outside. It was over a month that the people were here, with just 2 people, and our house is really tall. And yeah, so I feel like this is going to be one of those summers, which means that I may not be able to do the vegetables that I want to because things are going to be a lot later. But next year, this time, I'll be celebrating because I have everything already there. So there's that. So these, anyway, I'm done talking about that, are the books that I'm thinking of reading for April. I keep wanting to say March. Why am I saying March? I'm slowing down time. So hopefully, like I said, 2 good, 3 great, 4 amazing. You know, we will see, and I will let you guys know as well as I always do on Friday reads, you know, like where I am with them and how I'm feeling. I know I'm going to love this. I think I'm going to like all of them. I think I'm just going to have obviously different experiences with them. So I'm looking forward to them. And I loved, like, you know what I'm loving now is, like, I love the months that are free like this without, I'm sure there is a reading thing. I'm kind of closing my eyes and ears to any challenges for the month. But I feel like I like shopping my bookshelves for books to read. And I love that these are all very different stories. And so I think it will be a very interesting month. What do you plan on reading for the month of April? Let me know if you want to tell me, surprise me. I don't know. Let me know. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Mask up, wash your hands. Hopefully I will get a vaccination. I have not been vaccinated yet, but hopefully maybe April will be my lucky month. So we'll see. Anyways, in the meantime, let's all just protect each other. Bye.